Call to order the meeting of the Urban Renewal Authority. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Here.
Commissioner Grantham? Absent. Commissioner Hamrick?
Here.
Commissioner Maloney?
Here.
Commissioner Reeser? Absent. Commissioner Schmisher?
Here.
Commissioner Stein?
Here.
Commissioner Tracy?
Here.
Commissioner Troutman?
Here.
Commissioner Worthington?
Here.
Chairman Payne?
Here.
I don't recognize you.
Thank you.
You're my right.
I would ask you to stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Next item on the agenda is citizens requesting to speak to the Urban Renewal Authority. I'd assume you're going to be here for the agenda item? Yes, sir. Okay. Yes, sir. All right. Move on to the consent agenda, approval of minutes for the April 9th, 2025 meeting and cash disbursements from 4/10/25 to 7/9/25. Comments and or questions? Ryan, do you have anything
No,
to
sir.
add on this? Okay.
There were a couple of just minor typos on, second page of the April 9th minutes. Misspelling of Amy's name and then down, I wasn't sure there and one other place where in the wording on a motion, it says on motion by Commissioner Stein and second by Commissioner Member Worthington. I don't know if that word member. Yeah, okay. I think, on the next page there's one of those too, but that's all, just little typo things.
Okay. Anything else? Entertain a motion with those two changes? Minor changes?
I move that we approve the minutes with the changes noted by Commissioner Tracy.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Hamrick?
Aye.
Maloney?
Aye.
Schmisher?
Aye.
Stein?
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Troutman?
Aye.
Worthington?
Aye.
Payne?
Aye. Thank you. Financial report, we do not have the treasurer here. Ryan, do you have anything to add?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the executive director report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. We don't necessarily have a whole lot of urban renewal activity right now. We are anticipating that there will be some more activity coming with 4 Mile Ranch. We had a meeting with the developer of that development today. They're continuing to refine their plans and work on phasing for infrastructure out there. We do anticipate that there will be some asks regarding urban renewal and potentially setting up a new urban renewal area out there at 4 Mile Ranch and potential modification of our existing area. So we're continuing to work with them and monitoring that situation. As soon as we have something for the commission, we'll bring it forward. We have some economic development projects that are working around town, but as of right now, we have not received any requests for urban renewal assistance for those projects. And then continuing to monitor what's going on at the Abbey. That's the other fairly large development within the urban renewal area. And they're working on their plans as well and working on a master plan for that site. And don't know what the impact will be on urban renewal at this point.
Okay, any questions for the executive director? So right now, nothing solid on the Abbey property.
No, they've got ideas. It sounds like they've hired a consultant to help them with master planning, and they're going to be working through that process.
Okay, all right. No other comments and/or questions? We'll move on to item 8, discussion of building system grant for 621, 623 Main Street.
Thank you. I will give you the background on this. I of course added some information, some pretty in-depth information in your packet. I've got a little bit of new information related to that. There was a little bit of misleading information in there that I'll clarify in a minute. But we have Steve Parks here today, who is the owner of 621, 623 Main Street. He was awarded a life safety grant in October of '23, started his project in early first quarter of '24, and completed the project in December of '24. He came to myself and Ryan in a private meeting in Ryan's office. Couldn't determine exactly when it happened because it wasn't a documented meeting. It wasn't scheduled. It must have been a walk-in. He came to us last year asking for consideration for a building systems grant for electrical improvements at the time. He has since included HVAC improvements. Electrical improvements at the time, for the reasons that are identified in your packet, I mentioned, as did Ryan, that we couldn't recommend approval simply because it did not fall within the qualifications of the grant. He did not submit an application for building systems grant. He did have a conversation with Logan Hollowell of Sally's Bakery at some point last year as well, and they both let me know about that. He came back this year, and I believe it was March, I state, through an email stating that he believes the project should have qualified for a building systems grant, and gave me his arguments for that. And I did some more research to determine whether, partially to recall what was discussed in '24. But I offered, since I still could not recommend approval, I offered to present the idea to the project to you as a board because you have an authority that I don't have. You have the authority to make an approval or not. We did set a precedent to some extent with Sally's Bakery. It's a different circumstance. Sally's Bakery was awarded a building systems grant after their project had begun. Was also after the application period for the building systems grant, so we didn't have any competition for it. But the board authorized transitioning from a life safety grant to a building systems grant for Sally's Bakery because the life safety grant was no longer necessary because the improvements were not doable. So there was a little bit of a precedent there in that Sally's Bakery was awarded a building systems grant after project had begun. But we present to you today the idea or the application for the building systems grant for Steve for 621, 623. The change, the caveat that I need to mention is I mentioned in the packet that the grant would be funded with the building systems grant line item, which has in excess of $90,000 remaining. That is a financial balance of $90,000. When you consider the projects that we have on application for building systems, we have a balance of $15,850 in the budget. We've got five building systems grant applications that have been approved out there, totaling $109,150. We have a budget item of $125 for a building systems grant. So Steve is here to offer his answers to questions, offer some more background. If you'd like to take his questions, that would be or his comments. I will leave it up to you.
I have a question just in regard to a couple of things you said, if that's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
I wasn't sure if I understood your distinction of the 90,000 versus the 15,000 and something.
Yeah, the 90,000.
Is that in the context of an application period having ended in March, right? Or I'm just not following that.
We've awarded $109,000 in applications for building systems grant. That's for 309 Main, 1121 Main, 1811 Fremont, 429 South Main, and then 115 South 5th Street. What we've paid out so far to date gives us the balance in our Springbrook system of $90,000. We haven't paid on all of those projects. So in terms of commitments to payments, granted, it's possible projects won't come through, but in terms of the commitments for the building systems grant, we have a balance of $15,850.
Okay, got it. That helps
So we have a
clarify.
balance of 15,850
That's-
after all that,
Yeah,
okay.
that's uncommitted funds, is
Uncommitted,
15,850.
Right.
All right.
Sorry, I guess I'm a bit confused. So what, the building systems grant line item, what was the total amount of that? Could you remind us?
The grant, the budget line item was $125,000,
So it would be 125 minus 109?
109, 150.
Oh, okay. It's 109, 150 that
Yes.
we've committed.
Yep.
Got it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments?
I have
So-
a couple more.
Okay, go ahead.
So I guess in reading your memo, it seems like the main reason why the city didn't believe that that they could recommend moving forward with the grant proposal was that the work had already begun at the date of the meeting?
When, the date of the meeting, we presumed that the work had already begun because there's a time limit on the life safety grant. You need to start your construction within X number of days. This conversation came along after, so we were under the assumption that the project had begun. He has since shown me that, and the building department has confirmed, and this gets a little into interpretation of what constitutes the beginning of a project. The building department did not issue a building permit until February 2024. I'm not exactly certain when we met in person, but at the time, it was presumed that the work had already begun, and the project didn't qualify because it won't cover expenses prior to the grant award. We'll put it that way.
So that information was communicated to the prospective applicant in the meeting, that that's
Yes.
why you couldn't
Yes.
recommend moving
Mhm.
forward? Okay.
And at the time, there was also the application period. I believe this meeting happened prior to the application period. And then another reason that we were pushing back, I wouldn't say pushing back against it, I just couldn't necessarily recommend it, is that it was primarily electrical services for residential units. If you look at the application, it mentions commercial buildings and commercial, we were looking at it more as if it's just residential expenses, wouldn't necessarily qualify. But the commercial building itself does qualify, so.
And then the last question that I had was, I know we've also considered applications outside of the time period of the competitive period due to considerations from the applicant. We've done that, I believe, in one occasion this year.
I don't recall what that was.
There was one this year, but I don't remember
The
which app.
shoe store
Yeah.
roof? Or
Yeah,
the
Sierra
prospective
Services,
shoe
yeah.
store roof?
Yeah.
So there,
Yeah.
that precedent has been set.
That's correct, yeah, I hadn't thought of that, yeah.
Okay, and then, sorry, just.
Go ahead, no,
Okay.
please.
And then, could you maybe distinguish for us what, or remind us of what the life safety grant was awarded for?
For
And how that differs?
for Sally's Bakery?
Nope, for 621 to
Oh,
623.
the fire suppression system that had to go into the building.
So it's a completely different.
It's a completely different, yes.
But
Yeah.
the reason why the building permit timeline for the life safety award is relevant is because the building permit covered both the fire
Correct.
suppression system and this completely separate.
Correct, yes.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. That's helpful.
Yep.
Okay, anybody else have any questions or comments? Just a clarification for me, you talked about, Rick, you talked about item number 3 on the residential building system upgrades, you're thinking looking at, was it 4 apartments? Is that what it is?
It's 2 apartments upstairs.
2 apartments?
Mhm.
And staff feels like that's more residential,
Yeah, and I would say.
even though it's in a
on-
commercial building.
Correct. I would say on my part, it was a program that was designed primarily for commercial upgrades to buildings.
Right.
This was more of a residential upgrade, however, in a commercial building.
Well, as a group, we had said that we're going to be flexible on this because we're still, I mean, we're only 5 years into this, so we're learning on the run. All of us are.
And that's exactly why I offered to submit this
Yeah.
on his behalf.
And Sally's Bakery, I know we were flexible on that one, but I think that was justified, and I think we all felt that way. I don't want to put words in anybody else's mouth. And then the other thing is with the figures that we have here, if I got this right, even if we were to award this, we only have 15,850 to award
In that budget item, yes.
on that budget item. So
Yes.
that's all we have that we could award if we wanted to.
That's,
Everybody else sees it?
that's not a call I can make. That's up to the board. The
Right.
board can make a determination if you want to go higher or not.
Okay.
If we change, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, but if we change the amount of the total budget, we need to do an amendment. If we swap between line items, then we are okay doing that.
Yeah. We've been hesitant in the past of doing that.
Yeah, in terms of the other grants right now, just for clarity, we have only used the life safety grant so far for those 5 fire line installations in the first through fourth blocks. We don't have an application for life safety yet from out there, but there's some possibilities. So we've got 72,000 plus uncommitted there. And then facade grants, a little more popular. We've got a couple, $22,000 uncommitted, 22.5 uncommitted there as well.
And we're a little over halfway through the year, so,
Mhm.
okay. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I had 2. I can remember one of them. Well, I guess it's just more, and this is really, I think, needs to be a separate discussion about whether there's still anything in our process that we want to change or tighten up or whatever. I'll just mention a couple things that may or may not apply with what we're talking about right now, but maybe we still need to talk about in the future. In the Building Systems Grant Program document on the second page, under the eligibility criteria, B, the bullets under B, eligible improvements. The first bullet that says upgrade out-of-date or unsafe electrical systems doesn't specifically say in that bullet commercial.
Correct.
So, that could lead to a little bit of lack of clarity there. And I know, I can't remember the whole sequence, but I know we've gone back and forth about whether to just have these applications open year-round or what we did on this grant. We went to the January 1 through March 31st time period. I frankly can't even remember why we did that. I'm sure we had a good reason at the time. So those are just like a couple of examples of things that we should talk about in the context of process and the program rather than in the context of this particular application, I think. But it's kind of like what Tim was saying. We're still trying to smooth this out and make it better as it goes along.
Yeah, to kind of go to your first point, the commercial tendency, it really shows up in the scoring criteria.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Anything else?
And I think it also shows up a little bit on that same page, eligibility criteria E, where it says that it's dedicated to commercial activity in the community and must be used for for-profit. Buildings used exclusively for residential use don't qualify. So I think that this building clearly does qualify. Once we hear from Mr. Parks, I think understanding if those were intended as commercial units that would generate, I guess they would have to be short-term rental units to generate sales tax. I think that could be an interesting part of the conversation. But also agree with Commissioner Tracy that tightening up the process, I think would be beneficial. And maybe also just as part of the executive director report, hearing when you do have meetings and, we had interest, we told them that this may not be a good fit for X reason, just so that we kind of have that on the record and kind of understand what's going on behind the scenes a bit more. I think that would be really helpful. Thanks.
We could certainly button up all of our programs.
Could I just, this building is a commercial building. We didn't make a distinction when we put a sprinkler system in. The sprinkler
Correct.
system sprinkles what we're saying is residential. The idea behind urban development is to redevelop a somewhat blighted area. That would have to include lofts and things of that nature. I have a hard time saying, now making the distinction that that part and parcel of that building is segregated off and cannot be fixed. I can't even imagine an electrical system just sequestered just for residential and the rest of the building. And again, it goes back to philosophically, this is to renovate an area that probably wouldn't be touched if we didn't give them that help. So.
Okay, anybody else? So we have Steve Parks with us, so we'll hear from you now. If that's,
Sorry?
if you want
I'm
to,
sorry, yeah.
we'll hear from you now. That'd be great.
I'd love to present. And first off, I want to thank you, Chairman and Commissioners, for allowing me to be here. Came in from Florida because we're still, as some of you know, many of you know, we're still putting back our losses from the hurricane. So haven't been here as much as I'd like to finish the project, but we're just about down there. And about 5 or 6 weeks, we'll be out here to spend the summer and close the door on it. But if you, and I hope you can appreciate, Rick, and many of you know that I can chatter on, so I wrote myself some notes. Remember many of you from when we received the life safety grant, and I think, I don't know if you remember, I told you then, you guys are saving my wife and I's soul. Dreamt of restoring a historic building on a main street, storefronts downstairs, living upstairs, and this is, 38 years after graduating college, we finally got the dream. So with that, hello, I'm Steve Parks, and if you don't mind me just reading from it, just so I don't get astray. I know everybody's time is valuable. But first off, I said, if you don't mind, I made some additional information, especially monetarily, to kind of justify why we're asking. If you don't mind if I pass them out, and I didn't know how many folks were on the board, but just kind of some notes if you may have, I think there's enough there for, if two of you can share. I might stick for myself just so I can follow my own verbiage here. I think there's just 5 there. Yeah, and I kind of got my list here to kind of go, page by page to keep it simple. And hopefully we can share since we're not in the period of COVID. Need social distancing.
No, thank you.
Got it. Thanks, guys, for taking that. So back to this, and I'll just kind of go through some of these items as we go. I strongly believe that we qualify for this grant and that we met most, if not all, criteria, and in one sense exceeded some others. Short-term rentals versus apartments. We are doing short-term rentals upstairs, which I believe somebody had noted is going to garner some pretty good sales tax. I've done some market studies. I was in commercial real estate and used to do analysis. So, I did what I thought was a very conservative analysis of other short-term rentals, vacancy rates. I've talked with the hotel. I know they've just opened, but kind of what they expect. And with that, we should garner, if it were apartments or if it were just my wife and I living there, it wouldn't garner any sales tax. Since we're looking to do short-term rentals, I did a very conservative, the larger one, the 3.2, $1,800 a week, which I thought was very conservative. We kind of went overboard, did it to the nines as though we were going to, spend the rest of our days there. Times 52 weeks is $93,000. Unit B, which is a 2-bed, or unit 623, 2-bed and 1 bath. Conservatively, once again, $1,500 per week, times 52 weeks, $78,000. And then I did basically just a multiplier of 50% of that as a vacancy rate. And some of the others enjoy a lesser vacancy rate, can depend upon season and year. So I thought $85,800 was a very conservative amount. And of that, including the 2% additional lodging tax, would be almost $9,000 a year. That if we were to do apartments, just wouldn't be there. And then back to my notes. Oh, and also, they consider it a commercial building. I mean, a commercial endeavor, since I know the county, I understood, has been seeking out looking at the VRBO and Airbnb advertisements for people that have single-family homes and saying, hey, this is a commercial endeavor, and then taxing them at the, I believe, which is almost a 4 times multiplier, residential versus commercial. So, you know, this, in my mind, doesn't really make it residential. Makes it a commercial endeavor, which I hope would qualify, even though some of you said, you know, it's kind of, you know, either way, whether it stated there strictly commercial, and it also said in that same line item, it said commercial / mixed use, and mixed use to me has always meant residential commercial. So, but it is, we're gonna have a commercial use for upstairs. And with that, no sales tax there, lodging, and then also the increased sales tax for the 2 commercial units. The unit 623 had been vacant for years and essentially used as storage. I don't know when it was last occupied. A lot of people spoke of a record store, which I believe was years and years and years ago. So that is now going to be available, generating tax. 621, which is where the accounting office was, the young lady I bought the building from, was an office. So therefore, and not, I believe, no longer acceptable without a variance. Not generating any sales tax whatsoever. So since then, we've rented that use to an apothecary. Great folks, they're still within their first year, already generate some pretty good revenue. You know, and of course, hope to grow it there. They're really getting busy. I was a little surprised how many folks were in, you know, wants and needs of those products. And then, so far they've told me, I think they're on the hook for about $8,400 in sales tax. Again, hope to grow that, and that's not a full year. Unit 623, which I believe, and I had a call, honest to God, first call I've had on it. I was standing out in the lobby waiting, and the guy from Salida has a business up there, has looked at it for a few days, and he thinks it would be very appropriate. We're meeting tomorrow. So that was a good phone call. But I think, honestly, its highest and best use, especially with the fire suppression already being in, is such an exorbitant cost that a restaurant would need. You know, it's already, it was $109,000, not just for that unit, but if they had to put in fire suppression for a decent restaurant, it would have cost them a great sum, and quite often, unless the building owner can pay for that, it makes it almost cost prohibitive for them. So it's already got that. And if you were, I was in the restaurant business, if you were a horrible restaurant, you know, you might generate $1,000 a day. That wouldn't keep your doors open, but still, that's $365,000 a year, no small sum. If you were at just $1,500 a day, you're doing okay. I would expect it, a decent-sized restaurant of 2,350 square feet, to do a couple, $3,000 a day. But even at $1,500 a day, and I did 350 days because you've got some days closed, that's $525,000 in annual sales, which would be a projected $44,000 tax revenue that just wasn't there before. So for a sum total of all those, you know, about $60,000 on a conservative basis of additional sales tax that just was not being derived from that building. And with that, we put out pretty darn good sum of money to get us there. The systems upstairs were not, I don't believe it had been lived in for probably at least 50 years. I mean, if you saw the place, it just was thrown back in time. Super cool was the old toilet with the tank, wooden tank above, you know, that I thought was super cool, but short-term rental people may not think so. So we had to upgrade, you know, fully upgraded. Like I said, we kind of went to the nines. But the upgrade, it was old knob and tube. So the electrical systems, I don't believe, has probably been upgraded for 60 or 80 years. Just unusable. You know, they just weren't unusable altogether. And then additional money spent on some systems. We're probably going to do some more stuff, you know, to finish up some, not things that we're requiring of the permit, but some different lights and other fixtures, you know, energy efficient to finish it off for rental. So in closing, we're about $750,000 in on this building and way upside down. And I think I remember, if this weren't saving our soul, had this not been a dream of mine, the numbers I ran before we bought it and the expenditures I thought we would make, which thank God we're pretty much straight on budget. It hasn't been a money pit because the building is rock solid, absolutely rock solid. I told you I should, the projections, I should run for the hills. I did not have dreamt of doing this. It's been great. As the guys will probably admit, the reason we had the meeting was that we were partially through on, or installing the fire suppression, the underlying, and there was a hiccup. We resolved it. It wasn't what we thought it was, or what I thought it was. Finished that up. Again, I would not have been able, in fact, the meeting was 2 days before, the fire suppression, the life safety grant was 2 days before I bought the building. I was not gonna close without that grant, because again, we would have been way upside down. So that help is greatly appreciated. Now, you know, like I said, restaurant, which at first I didn't want to experience, like, geez Louise, but now, you know, since it would maybe attract a restaurant, it'll garner more income than had we not, so it'll all pay out. It was just, you know, a little hard in the beginning. So with all that, I think incredible increase in tax revenue, especially in upstairs. There would have been not a single dollar. I believe we're gonna, with that versus apartments, because that is what we've upgraded thus far, that's why we're asking for it. You know, unlike an apartment, people are here, they're likely gonna be cooking, they're not gonna go out to dinner as much. They're not, you know, rafting and these other things which is what drew us to this town. Whereas, you know, somebody, a tourist, renting the VRBO is likely gonna do those other things. So I think they'll bring in, you know, additional tax dollars. With that, I beg of you guys, I truly beg of you. And with what some of you have already prefaced with, I believe, you know, the parameters may be malleable somewhat, you know, still kind of figuring out the kinks of this grant. And Rick, somebody said that it's been on the books for 5 years. Is this year not the initial year?
2024 was the initial year.
Yeah, sorry, so yeah, 2024 is when it started.
Yep.
And I would have well applied for that grant, because, you know, like I said, I like to do my homework, try to cover all my due diligence. I think it was possibly a mistake. I'd asked Rick, previous to our meeting, I said, Rick, are there any other grants, you know, to help us out here? And you said, sorry, Steve, no, there are not. We've done all we can do for you. And I can't remember when that conversation was, but I think it was in and around that time that the grant was coming late, after we bought it, but it might have been after January. I think it might have been a little before, but you had stated that. Again, I think it might have been a mistake, because if it were coming out in January, you had asked before January, you likely would have known, hey, it's in the works.
I think it probably had more to do with the application period of the grant,
Oh, okay,
because there was a 4-month or 3-month application period
right.
that would have disqualified your project. You would have had to wait until April to begin construction, technically, by the wording of the grant.
Oh, I thought it was
That's
simply,
the challenge with.
and I would have, believe me, we didn't start until, you know, could have done some tear out, deconstruction, whatever, but for 25 grand, I would have waited just a tad.
Here we are.
I know. But with that, no, I thought the application period, as you said, was for March, and I asked before that. I didn't get my permit until February, so we were still within, you know, the application period had I known about it. And the only reason I knew about it, trying to be a decent neighbor, the same folks, Sally's Bakery, got their life safety grant the same night I did. And I heard they were having some major troubles. Really got run over, if you guys all know, by a building contractor, which I believe they paid money. My tenant downstairs had the same contractor, paid money, the guy disappears. My heart went out to him. I had some great subcontractors. So I thought I'd go down there, hey guys, can you know, and my fire suppression company was phenomenal. So I went down there to say, hey, you know, these are the guys I use, and that's when they let me know. We didn't use the life safety, we got this systems grant. I said, what systems grant? That's the way I learned of it. So, you know, being a guy that's got a ton of money into the building and needs all your help, I promise you I would have well applied for it. And if I had to wait until April to start, 25 grand's a good reason to sit on your butt and say, hey, let's start April 1st or whatever day it may have been. So with
Okay,
that,
does anybody have any questions for Mr. Parks?
Sure, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Parks, just to be clear, what are you asking us to do tonight?
to honor or to approve the $25,000 grant that we've spent. Oh, second page was hadn't even spoken of that. I spoke of the tax revenue, was the additional monies we spent over which Rick had stated. He had stated that we had spent about $45,300 on the application for simply the electrical contractors. He simply supplied the labor. I supplied all the materials, or most of all the systems, all the lights, all everything else. And then he also included the one AC system for the one unit. Well over and above that, we spent an additional $24,000, because it was also plumbing. I didn't have a receipt, canceled check for the plumbing. Couldn't really get it till I got here Monday morning from the bank. So I have that of almost $9,600. I've got it, and that's on the second page. HVAC contractor, $5,000, and another HVAC system of $4,097, in addition to all the fixtures and appliances and what have you, which I bought at Home Depot. So for a sum total of $24,000, and we still have, plus the original $45,000, brings us to $70,120, with an additional balance owed to the other half owed to the plumbing contractor of $9,600, for a total of just shy of $80,000. We still have a little, because we have a little bit of warranty items left over. There was a couple leaks and stuff, so, we said once we can get back in town and you can finish that up, there we go. So when we're all said and done, contractors paid, we're just shy of $80,000.
So-
Again, way
So,
outside.
so what I'm understanding is electrical and HVAC clearly covers the 25,000.
Oh, yes, sir. In fact, I think Rick will agree.
Is that right, Rick?
Simply
Yeah, okay,
the $45,000 to the electric contractor alone, just his services,
okay.
more than covers it.
Does that answer your question?
It does, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else have anything for Mr. Parks? Okay, thank you.
I do have one for staff, though.
I do too, so you go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So, as I understand it, part of the money we're reserving is, or that reserving or sequestered, I'm not sure exactly what the situation is, for the fire line hookups under Main Street. Is that correct, that we have spent some of our building system grants for that, for those
Those came out of the life safety grant line item.
That came out of life safety.
life safety? Okay. And this is not life, this is.
This is the building systems
Building
grant.
systems
Yes,
grant,
okay.
which we have 15,850 from what I understand. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, but I think to maybe Commissioner Hamrick's point, there is funding that it has not yet been committed in the life safety line item. So should the Urban Renewal Authority commissioners decide to move forward with approving 25,000, money could be moved from the life safety line item into the building systems line item. Did I understand staff's report correct?
That is correct, yes.
Can
Would-
you
would-
remind us,
okay, go ahead.
does the life safety grant have that January to March timeframe also?
Yeah, so
Yes.
the application period is, what, March 31st or whatever that
Yeah.
application
For that
period is.
Yeah.
If it's not committed through those applications, we just run it as a rolling application through the rest of the year.
So it's not that people can't apply?
Correct.
Correct.
They can apply,
They can still apply.
They can still apply.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So we don't know if we'll have anything come in between now and the end of the year that would relate to that particular grant?
I know of one possibility right now,
Okay.
but they're still trying to figure out exactly what that's going to cost and whether they move forward or not. It's possible they won't.
Would we have to do a budget amendment to move money from life safety into the building system grant?
As I understand it, technically, no.
Technically,
If
no,
the entire grant, if the entire budget total is impacted, then there becomes the need to do amendments.
So it'd
But
just be a line item shift of $9,150 from one to the other.
it'd be more of a
And we
management.
just do that
shift.
internally by our instruction.
Yeah. Yes, that is correct. So there would not need to be a budget amendment unless we were changing the total of.
The total
expenses.
amount on the
Total
bottom
amount,
line, okay.
yes.
That makes it easier, okay. That makes me feel better. Okay, anybody else have anything?
Mr. Chair, I would just comment that I think that the reason that we ask that applicants don't start work until they've applied and it's been approved is to avoid the hostage situation. You know, I've spent the money, now you guys owe it to me to do that.
Yeah.
And so I think that's part of what our thinking was, but I'm certainly open to other ways of thinking here tonight.
Well, yeah, I'm too. Amy, you have something?
Oh, I was just going to agree with Commissioner Hamrick and also say I feel like it's a little bit different in this case because the applicant did come in specifically ask about this grant around the time or shortly before or after work began. So it feels different than, I completed this work 3 years ago and now I would like this, even though,
Come back,
yeah, it doesn't feel as precedent setting as I think it otherwise might.
Well, and we did agree to be flexible, like we're wading through all this, so. Anybody else have anything else? I would entertain a motion, one way or the other.
I would make a motion to grant this application for the money and authorize our administrator to mix and match, or do you want to designate, 10,000 from one to pull over 15,000 from the other? Or allow him the authority to find out between he and Rick what would make the most sense and then report back to us. But I would make the motion to grant this $25,000 and find out in which fashion. I don't want to dry one fund up completely. I don't want to ramble on, but I'm making a motion that we grant this and grant the administrator and Rick, the Economic Development Director, the authority to make up the best of this amount and then report back to us.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Second? Okay, we have a motion and a second to award the 25,000 and to have staff internally move 9,150 to make up to the 25,000. And that would probably be from life safety,
Yes, sir.
more than likely, okay. So we know where it's coming from as far as the shift. Clear as mud? Okay,
And I do have
okay. We do have
some
a,
additional discussion before
That's-
we vote. And I
Okay.
just want to say to staff, thank you for taking this approach. I think it should be, it is commendable that you bring it to us, and thank you for that, for the opportunity to perhaps do something that just bureaucratically we could deny in good faith based on what we've got, based on words that we have in front of us. But thank you for bringing it.
You're welcome.
And can I just add to that, too?
yeah, go ahead, please.
I do struggle with, the general concept of we don't want to have rules and laws and ordinances and then violate them ourselves, so to speak. But at the same time, as we said earlier, we know we're trying to make this process better as we go along. So my contribution to the discussion is that we take a look again at all of these grant programs, the timeframes we've set for them and so forth, and just keep revisiting that, I don't know, a couple times a year or more, and just figure out, is there anything we still want to change? Like, the timeframe thing, I still don't quite have straight in my head. Why do we have an application period, but then we still take applications the rest of the year? I mean, if there's a reason for that, I need help with that. So I just want to be sure that we don't let this go and then run into the same kind of struggle next time around.
Okay, Amy?
I think that if memory serves, I think that the idea was that there might be so much competition for these grants that we would want to look at all of the applications or a preponderance of the applications at the same time. However, now that we've run it for a year, it certainly did not play out that way this year, and possibly we also ran it last year, and it also did not play out that way last year.
And
I think that the concern was that if it was a first come, first serve, that we might end up not funding the most high scoring or the most beneficial applications. But now, similar to what you just said, now that we've done it a couple of times, I think that we can improve the process. And I would say let's maybe look at it between now and the end of the year so that our 2026 budget and process is improved upon from the lessons learned.
And I think just to add a little bit, January to March doesn't necessarily fit in with real life and what applicants need and what they're doing and when they're doing it. So, we just need to keep that in mind too.
Okay. Commissioner Stein, do you have anything?
No, I am still coming out of anesthetic, so I'm just laying low here. Thanks. I didn't want to miss this meeting because I think this is really important.
There's dedication.
Okay, I do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Dennehy?
Aye.
Commissioner Hamrick?
Aye.
Commissioner Maloney?
Aye.
Commissioner Schmisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Stein?
Aye.
Commissioner Tracy?
Aye.
Commissioner Troutman?
Aye.
Commissioner Worthington?
Aye.
Chairman Payne?
Aye. Thank you very much. Ryan, do you have anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Parks, thank you for your contribution on this. Appreciate it. Good
you.
luck in the future.
Well, just to
Okay.
let you know, I'd love to do another one of these.
Okay.
It's, I know that sounds crazy. Most people would run. I know, I said again, I got a great building. I hope I would never buy a,
Okay, thank you very much.
fun hole, but I'd love to do another one. It was an absolute dream.
Okay. No further business come for the Urban Renewal Authority. We are adjourned.